music died, I started singing by.
What's up, dudes? Today's the day I start fixing the Squareback. Let's get started. So I started collecting some parts that I need to get the Squareback back up and running, and it's really not too much. So I took apart this, whoa, I'm like all the way zoomed in. I took out the drum because I went and got replacement hubs. These have really good splines on them. These were actually the original ones that came off of the Squareback. So I took them to get machined down over at Old Speed. So I finally got this torque multiplier. I was kind of avoiding it because it's kind of expensive, but I mean, at this point I might as well just invest in something like this to make sure that everything's all good. This is going to be really nice to just put this on to this axle nut right there, and then as you torque this down, you can even use like a 3/8 or even a quarter, but basically all you need to do is about 30 foot-pounds on here, and that will translate to about 270 foot-pounds onto the axle nut, which I think it's labeled over here. Yep, so 25 foot-pounds equates to 225, and 30 foot-pounds equates to 270 foot-pounds. I also got some new shoes here. I got brand new shoes. I was thinking about getting some new drums, but to be honest, these look okay. I mean, these were brand new when I put them in, and I don't really see too much like damage on it. So like really, the only thing I really saw was that part right here, and it doesn't really look too bad. So I think it's just gonna be okay. We'll see if it falls off again. And while I have everything out, I might as well lift it up about one more spline over here in the rear, because I mean, the point of these adjusters right here is so that I can raise it up whenever I want without having to do that. But I didn't think about that when I first set this up. So I've already raised this up about 1/2 inch ever since the Type 3 rally. And to be honest, it's still a little bit too low for my liking. So I do want to raise it up a little bit more. So since it's already kind of close to the limit, I don't want to keep raising it up here. I think I'm going to lower this just a little bit and raising this by 1 notch, and then kind of play around with the suspension again so that it's a little bit higher than what it is right now. And those don't need to be torqued down super tight. It's just to hold this in place. And then I'm just gonna put this in just a little bit, not all the way. I have this set to 30 foot-pounds right here. So let us give it a whirl. That's actually super light, and I'm kind of nervous about that. I mean, it feels really light, but yeah, that's 30 foot-pounds right there. And like it says here, 30 foot-pounds equates to 270 foot-pounds on this axle nut. That better stay there. This can come off just like that. And fortunately, that hole lines up with the castle nut perfect, so this can go in just like that. Okay, perfect. All right, now nobody can say that I didn't tighten this tight enough, because it's literally torqued to spec. I don't think I'm gonna record doing the wheel seal and the hub replacement on this side, because it is pretty much gonna be exactly the same thing as what I just did here, just for the sake of the length of this video.
Oh, that's a very nice gesture. What were you saying?
Oh man, this is so annoying. Oh boy, this is all over the place. I was working on the side here, and I did exactly what I was supposed to avoid. Fiddle around with this bearing here, because I was playing around with that and kind of moving the axle around. And I mean, it still spins, but I think I may have pulled it out a little too far, to the point where maybe the fulcrum points inside of the transmission may have fallen out. Which means it's gonna be adding an extra couple hours of unnecessary work. Motherfucker. That just means though that I do need to take out this swing axle tube right here. And it sucks that it happened on this side, because technically the other side is the one that's supposed to come off.
I'm in danger.
Okay, dudes, walking out of Rancho, but yeah, I spoke with Dave and he's super helpful. He answered a lot of my questions I had regarding the short axle swap and my wheel falling off and all of that. So he gave me some ideas, some tricks of the trade. Here goes, right here, Rancho. So I am gonna go home. I'm gonna pull the engine, pull the transmission, and then just rebuild everything completely, and then just throw it back in. Here's a few other things I picked up. I got a new wheel axle kit. I got a bunch of these transmission seal things, or the gaskets, and then I got a bunch of gear oil. Okay, dudes, I have the engine and the transmission now pulled out of the Squareback. I know I wasted a lot of time with trying to do it the cheap and easy way, because I didn't want to pull out the transmission and engine. I was wanting to only do like the drums and the hubs on both sides. Once everything's all done, then I was going to take this to a shop. This is the part that dragged on the ground. They were going to take this bolt out, put like an aluminum rod in there, and then weld a whole new like bottom portion, and then take out that rod so the hole is still there. Technically that would have been fixed, but because the fulcrum plates fell out on this side, I needed to take this apart anyway. So at this point, I might as well just redo this whole thing and just completely replace it with another unit, because the quote I got for doing this job here was the exact same as just getting a whole nother replacement. And this one's actually pretty nice. It's like sandblasted and painted. It's kind of like a matte paint, but I don't really care at this point. I know I used like gloss, but it's just gonna get dusty just like that anyways. Whatever. I'm gonna get this mounted onto my engine stand there, and then continue on with the time lapse of trying to get all this put back together, all that fixed, and then I'll throw everything back into the Squareback and we should be good to go. Alright, dudes. The job is done. Got the Squareback running again and driving. So I'm here on the top of this parking structure. I originally was gonna go to the beach just to have this like by the sand or whatever, but it got a little late, so you're not even really gonna see anything. So here I am in a well-lit parking lot. But yeah, I finished everything I needed to do. I've been really busy these past couple of days, but basically I got the transmission in, the engine in, the axle tube replaced, the brakes, the hubs, all that is all done. I raised the rear about 1/2 inch. I just re-indexed the splines there, and then I readjusted the adjustment screw thing. Here in the front, it's kind of weird because, okay, so my setup right now, I have drop spindles, right? And I think that drops, I don't know, maybe like 1.5 inches or 2 inches right off the bat. And before I got the drop spindles, I was lowered 3 inner splines on both sides, obviously. And now with the drop spindles, I thought I had went up 2 notch, or no, I thought I went up at least 1 notch. That way I was dropped only 2, basically. Upon my inspection, it looks like I may have left it at 3 notches with the drop spindles. So that's why it was so dang low. Like, dude, it was so low. I was even hitting those lane reflectors during the Type 3 rally. And if you see under my beam clamps, you'll see like some remnants of some yellow plastic things. It was way too low. So I have this finally raised up to back up to 2 inner splines with the drop spindles. So I don't know how much that equates to inches in height or whatever. I'll make some measurements later on, but the way it drives right now is absolutely amazing. Dude, it is absolutely like night and day difference. It's so smooth. It drives like a regular car.
I never thought it could be this good again. I can't believe it's not butter.
I mean, yeah, it still drives like a lowered car, but not like a slammed car, obviously. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just like so excited that it's so smooth, because during the rally when I was driving in Mike's and Bill's fastbacks, man, their cars drove so nice. I mean, their setups are so like on point that it made me really want to just forget about the whole slam life and stuff. And maybe even this is a little too low, so even if I wanted to, I could raise it up 1 more and adjust that. But for now, I'm just gonna test it, see how it feels, because right now I'm really liking it. On my aftermath video, I was talking about putting this car back to stock and all that stuff, but I didn't really get a chance to enjoy this as much as I really wanted to. I built this car for not for the Type 3 rally, but I built it because I really wanted to go there, and I got it to that point, and now it's like kind of taken away from me. So I at least want to enjoy it the way I envisioned this build to be. And maybe in a while, I don't know, if sooner or later, I don't know, if I get tired of it, I'll change it up. But for now, it'll be like this. Eventually, I'll probably make it stock so that I can start really focusing on working on the notchback. I still don't know what my direction is with a notchback. I don't even necessarily have to go to stock to start working on that. My mind's just all over the place, just kind of jumbled around. Anyways, I wrote down a lot of stuff that I did off camera because I was just trying to get this running as soon as possible. I haven't driven this thing since I got back from the rally, and it's been what, like over a month. So yeah, I was just itching. So let's get started here. Oil change, I never had the chance to change the oil change since after the rally. That was a few 100 miles, and it was pretty much like almost the time for my interval anyways. Let's see where I'm at. You're not gonna see that at all, but it is showing 4508. Yeah, just at the 4500 mark. I'll probably change it again at like 6,000 or something like that. It was time anyways. Transmission, of course I had to do that because I did all that transmission work, so I refilled the transmission. I did all the brakes, so all the brakes were brand new. I just had to replumb it because the hub and all that stuff had to come off, or not the hub, the backing plate. And so I reinstalled that, and then I rebled the system. The first day I rebled just the 2 rears, and then it felt a little spongy, so the following day I bled front and back, or back to front. So this time the brakes feel so good. I also did the e-brake because for some reason the e-brake adjustment was all kind of like all over the place. All right, so I saved all the stuff that came off on this repair. So I have all my brakes here that got replaced. Yeah, like right here it's cracked, and then over here, and you saw me replacing these with the really bad splines. So I'm now using a different pair of hubs. This is the dreaded axle tube that dropped on the ground with this bolt here. Both my castle nuts are here, so I replaced those, brand new ones. These were the wheel seals. Side note, I also ended up taking off these eyebrows just to have a different look, I guess. But yeah, this is the shock here that I also ended up replacing in that time lapse. It shows that I removed it, but I didn't replace it. But I definitely got a new one. I got the exact same one actually. All right, there it is. So you can see the brand new shock with the brand new bolt. You can see the replacement axle tube right there. That's all new, all replaced. This is pretty much all fixed as far as repairs go with like insurance and whatever. And I don't really want to get into the details of my insurance claim, but all worked out for me. Everything is a-okay. I'll probably just run it like this. I mean, this car is like a patina look anyways, so it doesn't look absolutely terrible. I will probably, in the next few episodes, we'll see. I can probably just take this off and just hammer and dolly that out. I am not sure yet. It really does suck though that the fender got pretty messed up, because it took me 4 years to look for this specific fender for this year, for this color. I mean, they say it's a common color, but tell me where can I find a driver's side rear without having to pay for like $1 million for shipping? So yeah, let me know if you know of a spot, or if you have one, let me know. I'd be happy to take it off your hands. Otherwise, I'll just continue using this. But the thing is, at least it was this fender, because this is the only fender that is not original to this car. Because when I got this car, when I first got it, if you remember, if you're like an OG dude, you may even see it in my intro, but this fender originally was blue, and I changed it to this one because I found this off of Danny Z, actually. Rest in peace, my guy. But yeah, I drove all the way over to his warehouse and scooped this up from the rafters of his warehouse.
Stop stepping in here.
Okay.
It's a tight squeeze.
Yeah, I guess it's actually pretty cool. It's a good story, you know. Maybe I'll actually just keep it instead of replacing it. I also wanted to show this cotter pin here. This is the brand new one that I put in, and the new castle nut. So this cotter pin, I wanted to leave that kind of like loose, or not loose, but I mean this axle nut right here, I wanted to spin it to a point where it's not biting onto the cotter pin. And I left the center cap off intentionally so that after every drive I'll come here and see like, oh, okay, this isn't getting pinched yet, so we're still good. That hasn't spun. On the other side here, unfortunately, I don't think I kept that as loose as the other side, but I can just at least monitor to see if this is gonna get like cut or whatever. I don't think so. I mean, hopefully not. That's the whole point of this. But if it does, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll probably just like push this off a cliff or something. And then the last thing I added on here is a new piece. This is an MP shifter. I think this is awesome, man. Like, I really feel like a race car driver in this thing. This is the nicest shifter I've ever had. And yeah, dude, I was messing around with that beer tap one, with my stock shifter, with the what's that called, the quick shift thing, and this just blew that one out of the water. I got a really good deal on this one, and shout out to my guy Bill right here. He gave me the shift knob. Let me close this and do a little walk around. Yeah, man, super excited I got this back up and running. So I will probably just take it easy. I don't think I'm even gonna drive it through like the freeway quite yet. I'll just drive it around the city, and of course after every drive I'll check the cotter pins, and I will just monitor the health of it. So far the engine's been running great. Like that was the biggest focus I had on this build for a really long time, for a couple of years, and it really shows, because man, that entire time during the rally this thing was just chugging along, just keeping up with everybody. I can't believe it. Like I'm not a professional builder, I just learn how to do things and I do it and just figure it out. But yeah, the engine I feel like is on point. Now I feel like my main focus should be making sure that I don't die. All right guys, that's gonna be the end of it. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.